Modern students are the worst. They can't read, they have no attention spans, they're overly sensitive, and they're all super entitled. I don't actually believe any of that, but that was what I was frequently told when I decided to start teaching last year. And yet, I've been receiving some incredible feedback from the classes I've developed since then. Take a look at some of the feedback from a class I'm currently teaching this semester. These quotes were all taken from reflections early in the class, and these students have consistently been engaging deeply with assignments and their classmates week over week. So how am I doing this? While I'm still evaluating which elements of my approach are working best, I want to discuss key ways that I've designed instruction differently. I've come to think about this as seeing education as content. Modern students grew up with social media. A 20-year-old today was born around 2005. Facebook went live in early 2004. YouTube hit the internet in early 2005. These students have spent their entire lives immersed in the social web, and their expectations for media have been deeply shaped by this. These students expect media to conform to standards that most of us born before the social web, or even before the internet, don't have and likely find quite foreign. It would be a gross simplification to say that this engagement has shortened their attention spans. While this may be true in some respects, there is some online content that many young people will spend hours consuming. Video game streams on Twitch can last hours, and even YouTube video essays and infotainment can get incredibly long. For example, last year, Jenny Nicholson's deep dive into the failings of Disney's Star Wars Hotel clocked in at just over 4 hours, but it has over 12 million views on YouTube. So what's going on here? The complexities of understanding how online content drives engagement are vast, and there are many videos out there that help creators online understand how to hold viewers' attention and to monetize their content. But that's not quite what I'm after here. I'm not currently engaging in monetization strategies for any of my social media channels. I'm more focused right now on making instructional materials that play to the media expectations of my students. I want the format of my videos to match what they see daily on their devices, to help lower the barriers of engagement and make it easier for them to pay attention. I've approached this in many different ways, but today I want to discuss 3 elements that have guided how I've built instructional videos for my class: attention to length, formatting, and leaning into parasocial strategies. I've received comments from students strongly validating the way that I've approached each of these domains, and I want to share some of my learning here. Let's start with video length. Video length is a massive component when it comes to driving engagement. Students are used to consuming a wide variety of online content. TikToks and Instagram Reels have trained a certain rapid-fire sampling of content and have set up expectations around how to consume and engage. The focus on YouTube Shorts, in tandem with more typical YouTube videos, have also contributed to these general expectations. Data on effective video length varies dramatically by audience and topic, but can fall into a few different length categories. There are ultra-short videos, which I think of as under 30 seconds. Then there's short-form content, which is usually around 3 minutes or less. There's another window in the 3 to 6 minute range, and then there's videos in the 8 to 12 minute range. Finally, you get to the 20+ minute videos and beyond. Each of these video lengths communicate different ideas. In order to figure this out, I've spent quite a bit of time discussing this with other content creators online, trying to identify what you can communicate at these lengths, as well as working on how to edit down my typical approaches to communication to make my presentation more succinct and condensed. Ultimately, I now approach instruction in terms of those lengths. What kinds of lessons can I teach in 30 seconds? What can I teach in under 3 minutes? What about 5 minutes? 10 to 15 minutes? I try not to go longer than that, though sometimes I have to depending on the content. In my human emotion class, I use videos of different lengths to make different points. So rather than uploading a 30 to 45 minute PowerPoint lecture, I have these 3 different videos. I try to keep one in the 3 to 5 minute range, one in the 6 to 8 minute range, and one in the 10 to 15 minute range. This provides variety and breaks lessons down into chunks that students are more familiar with, enhancing their attention. Though I also have to make sure that the content is engaging as well. Next up is video formatting. I include in this camera orientation, editing techniques, incorporation of visuals, as well as production quality. I format my longer topic lecture videos like a YouTube video essay or infotainment content. These videos are measured in pace, which facilitates binging at higher speeds for review. They're also filmed in a horizontal screen format and at a higher production quality to signal that this information will be more polished and researched, similar to more long-form YouTube videos. I also incorporate slide-like visuals, film clips, and other images to break up viewing and enhance understanding and retention. I'd like to do more of this, but it's quite labor-intensive, and I'm already stretched pretty thin this semester, but it's a goal for the future. On the other end of the spectrum, most of my shorter videos are filmed in a vertical orientation. I use this to help prime the idea of a TikTok or Instagram reel. I also edit these videos quite differently, removing all pauses while filming to quicken their pace. This visual and auditory priming makes the videos feel more aligned with social communication and makes the content more personal. I've studied many different video formats common on social media platforms, and I try to shape the instruction in a way that matches some of the formats that are relevant. For example, a common video that I do is a scientific article summary, which is modeled off of TikTok book report videos. I use these videos to help model how to approach reading the scientific literature in a way that is more personal. I also include screenshots of highlighted passages that are relevant to the particular points that I think are most important. Many students have commented on how much this has helped them to understand the material and also improve their reading comprehension when they review the articles on their own time. This attention to style details may not always be noticed, but it does seem to help set the tone for the material and appears to be driving deeper engagement. Finally, I want to talk a bit about parasocial relationships. As I mentioned earlier, these students have grown up with the social web. Some of their earliest friends were people that they don't actually know, but content creators that they watch regularly. Engagement with these creators is strengthened by the feeling of intimacy that comes from gaining a window into someone else's life. Viewers feel like they have a relationship with these people, even though they may have never engaged with them in a direct manner. This is now an expectation when it comes to content, and has taken on a name: parasocial relationships. They aren't quite social, but they are driven by the perception of intimacy that comes with how content is produced, formatted, and delivered. Now, I have a joint PhD in neuroscience and clinical psychology, and while I decided not to get licensed, I was trained as a clinician, which came with an incredibly intentional way to view with what is called disclosure. In a therapy setting, the therapist rarely brings himself into the room. Any communication about their own life or opinions, a disclosure, is framed through the lens of its relevance to the therapeutic process. This critical examination of how to frame oneself within a guiding and instructional dynamic has informed the way I approach disclosure in an educational setting. Before I even began developing curriculum, I thought for a long time about which aspects of my life could provide an instructional edge to my lessons. I considered the role of professional boundaries, ethical guidelines, and educational utility. I reflected deeply on how to frame my life through a public lens while also building in protections for my own privacy. I then used the guidelines that I developed to inform how to bring myself into the classroom. I now engage in targeted personal disclosure in ways that have instructional relevance. This adds a level of intimacy to my teaching, which encourages students to feel engaged with the material that I create. This is particularly important for my asynchronous classes, when I never engage with students in a live setting unless they schedule a meeting with me. I want my students to get to know me through the videos that I create and the feedback that I give them on their assignments. I want them to see me as a living, breathing person who is enthusiastic about what I'm teaching, because that motivates investment and engagement. But I also have to pair this with actually caring, because these students can easily sniff out insincerity and artifice. There's so much more that I bring to my approaches to pedagogy and video instruction, but focusing specifically on these three domains, length, format, and promoting parasocial bonding, have so far led to results that have completely outstripped my expectations. Students are really learning. They're paying attention, and they are expressing regular gratitude that I put so much intention into the way that I develop instruction. These bonds are important because they help to encourage learning and growth, and as an educator, I think that's my greatest goal. I'll end this video with my usual lecture sign-off. YouTube content creators generally have a sign-off to differentiate their content, build their brands, and drive personalized engagement. I could probably make another video on how much time I put into developing this, but for now, I'll just leave you with my send-off. Stay curious, stay resilient, and above all, live life in flux. Thanks for your attention.